Hey guys, so here bringing you another video and welcome to another high rating spectate video. Hopefully you guys are doing good and you don't mind these videos. Again, I think they're very chill, they're very educational, and it puts a little bit less pressure on me. So hopefully that's okay. Today we're watching a Grandmaster Anivia main. And a lot of people, you know, I will say the next couple episodes, and the previous one, which was a Jace episode, obviously were to your recommendations. So I asked on Twitter and Discord, I was like, hey, what do people want? And yeah, these champions came up, and the next episode is a kind of an interesting episode that I've got planned, if it works out and everything like that. So yeah, so this Anivia is currently Grandmaster 500 LP of me recording this. But, you know, clearly a great player. Season 7 Master, Season 8 Challenger, Season 9 Grandmaster, and in essence is an Anivia main / one trick. Yeah, so we're going to check them out, see what they can do, and what kind of wanted me to watch this game was that they're against a Sylas. Now, I've made a video on this matchup before. Some of you may even remember it, and I said that this is one of the best champions, Anivia, to deal with Sylas, because he's very hard to deal with. He's an incredibly strong champion, incredibly oppressive, annoying, you know, put more words like that, you know, above, because he's just got so much sustain, so much all-in damage. It's just very hard to deal with. But what in essence Anivia can do is limit the annoyance of a Sylas. So she's got great control of something that is melee. You know, she's got slows and stuns of things that are running towards her. So if a Sylas wants to be aggressive, he's probably going to take a buttload of damage to do that. Or he might even get stopped. Secondly, one of the strengths of Sylas is obviously stealing ultimates. A lot of mages in mid lane have great ultimates to steal. Anivia's isn't for Sylas. Why? Well, a lot of it is, you know, the damage isn't too bad, but Anivia as a champion has to build a lot of mana regen to keep up her ultimate well. So she's usually a tier and Rod of Ages champion to give her so much mana that it gives her enough mana to kind of keep her ultimate up. Sylas doesn't do that. Sylas might buy a Luden's Echo for mana, and that's about it. So he can't maintain Anivia ultimate a long time. Furthermore, the actual ultimate itself is also a setting up ultimate. It chills people to give you the empowered E. So Sylas doesn't get that benefit either. So there's a couple of factors to Anivia that works against the Sylas quite well. That's, by the way, not to say, meanwhile, a gank might be coming in. That's not to say a Sylas can't do well against an Anivia. I honestly think Sylas is kind of broken. But she's a step in the right direction if you are looking to beat that champion. Worth also noting, you've already seen it, and this is a pattern that when I've seen great Anivias, they do. And it's something that, you know, I used to play quite a lot of Anivia. I never got into the habit of. You're seeing the Anivia just hitting E on the Sylas without getting anything. It's just E poke. I never did that because it's a lot of mana to do that, and you're not getting that much damage for it. And maybe the idea is, okay, the thing that I've got to do to limit the Sylas in lane phase is get his health bar low. Make sure that he has no corrupting potion stacks. I need to kind of keep him on the back foot. So maybe that's the reason, but it still feels a little bit weird to me. I'd rather have the mana than deal like a little bit of damage. Like there, it did a decent amount because of the arcane comet proc, and maybe that's the only way. Like I would only do it if I had arcane comet up, for example. But we have already seen this Anivia land the E or go for the E even without arcane comet currently up. So yeah, so mid lane is relatively even. If anything, the Sylas is slightly ahead because when he gets all this farm, he should be a little bit ahead in farm. Anivia's even missed a little bit, and you know, worth noting, Anivia is arguably, meanwhile, Sylas goes weirdly aggressive. Anivia is one of the hardest champions in League to farm with pre-6. So she has, I'd actually say, as someone that has played a lot of the champions in League, if you know, I've played all of the champions in League, I'd actually say she has the worst auto-attack animation for last-hitting minions. Like, you're literally seeing a Grandmaster one-trick Anivia, who's got 400 games this season of Anivia, miss basic last hits with auto-attacks. It's really annoying to last hit with this champion. And obviously it gets vastly easier at level 6 when you're just using your ultimate a lot of the time to wave clear. But obviously, again, that requires a lot of mana. So far, so good. Anivia's surviving. She's evenish in lane. Teleport by Sylas again. Replays, unfortunately, are still bugged. Meanwhile, there is a gank from both supports in mid lane at the exact same time. So that is one thing worth noting. Meanwhile, Sylas goes aggressive. Lee Sin is in the area. Can she land the stun? She does. Thresh is still in the area, though. Not anything is going to come out of that. Zillion is on the backside, though, and there's going to be a bit of a support tussle Maybe actually not the Anivia, sorry, the Shyvana is in the area. And yes, by the way, you have seen a cleanse Zillion support there. Probably the biggest reason. I'm going to get countered. Meanwhile, bit of lazy play actually happening by the Anivia, personally. That is pretty bad. To die in that situation is not good. Meanwhile, there's a big dive happening. Double kill for the Sylas. Lee Sin does get one kill, though. Can Lee Sin get another? Most likely, no. Oh, maybe he will. He's going to Zillion ult himself to survive, because Sylas is very balanced. Meanwhile, Anivia teleporting in on the backside, though. Lee Sin still gets hooked, and Sylas will pick himself up. In essence, a triple kill. Anivia is now back in action, but Thresh is still in the area. Meanwhile, both AD carries at this stage have just been power farming, with anything Aphelios having a slight advantage. But because of how long the fight is, it's giving time for, like, the top laner to get here. Aatrox goes to flash. Gonna get one kill. He does get that one. Anivia gonna go over the wall. Sylas comes back over the wall. Anivia flashes. Now they're on the back foot. They can't let Sylas be on top of them, because then Sylas does stupid Sylas things. Because, yes, again, the champion is completely balanced. And, yeah, Sylas is gonna die finally. But he just died. Meanwhile, in bot lane, the Aphelios does take on the Ashe and does get that solo kill. And which is really weird, by the way. The meta in bot lane, and again, I don't really watch competitive play anymore, pro play. I find it a little bit boring. But at least in solo queue, that I obviously watch these games, AD carries are taking exhaust now. What's that about? I have no idea. But the weird thing is neither AD carry got their exhaust off. I've always thought it's a bit weird that AD carries take it. I get it and don't get it at the same time. In essence, it's to stop you getting one-shot by a melee champion most of the time. Because you get, you know, if someone's in melee range, you exhaust them, it slows them, you can run away. But the thing is, when you're actually in bot lane, and you're, say, like this lane, it's an Aphelios Zillion versus a Thresh and Ashe, that's kind of like a heavy range lane. Like, you know, Thresh is kind of melee, but kind of not. Meanwhile, nice stun by Anivia, good damage coming in. Anivia has to be careful. I honestly think Anivia's dead now. Don't know why Anivia went a little bit close to the sun is what I'd say, and Anivia is dead. So, yeah, she is currently 0-3. Remember, we did pick this replay on purpose to show how to deal with the Sylas. That's not happening right now because the Sylas is just absolutely, you know, and what I will say, I'm not trying to diss the Sylas player. I'm not saying that they're playing bad, but it doesn't seem they're doing anything good. They're just playing Sylas. The champion is just nuts. Like, it just does insane damage, insane regen with his W, and then has got utility to, like, stun people and has mobility with his E, and has poke with his Q. What's that about? I have no idea. And obviously the mini rework happened, which did anything like but nerf him. He is only buffed from that stage than he ever used to be. Meanwhile, top lane, the Sylas is trying to take on the Aatrox, but the Aatrox actually is very strong again. Arguably one of the strongest top laners. Nice kill. Arguably one of the strongest top laners in the game, Aatrox has been for quite a while. But the problem with Aatrox and why some people think... Well, I don't even think anybody thinks he's weak. But why there isn't like a universal... Oh yeah, Aatrox is really strong. He's incredibly skill dependent. If you get behind on Aatrox, oh, it sucks. Like, he's an all-in champion. Like, he's all-in and requires damage to do healing. So if you're not doing any damage, you're not doing any healing. Nice roam by Anivia is going to pick up maybe the kill on Thresh after the regen. Oh, good flash, actually. And more damage coming through with the ultimate. Anivia takes a lot of tower damage, though. Lee Sin on the back for the exhaust from Ashe comes out. Can Anivia land a good stun? Doesn't get it because of the flash, and that will be the play for Red Team. Again, already a very intense game. Very roam heavy from everybody, really. You're having an Anivia roam, which is weird. She is actually, if I'm not mistaken, League's slowest moving champion on base movement speed. Without any boots or anything like that. I believe if she might still hold that crown of being the slowest movement speed champion in the game. Maybe something has overtaken her by now. Maybe it got buffed. I don't really remember. But yes. So again, Sylas not going to mid. Bad ultimate by Anivia. But yeah, this Shyvana got a kill. I think she's behind the tower. Lee Sin on the back foot does kill the Ashe. There are two low people. Nice Q. And then the Anivia should be able to get the Thresh with a free stun. And there we go. Double kill, though, for Shyvana, by the way. She was behind the tower, walked through the tower to get to the Aphelios, and both of the enemy bot lane do fall to the Dragon's Fire. Anivia are going to push in with her ultimate. Lee Sin actually going to look aggressive onto the Shyvana. Anivia chose not to follow. Again, let's be honest, she's not going to catch a Shyvana with that W movement speed. So it is the right decision for Anivia to stay in the bot side. So the game is starting to fall a little bit apart for blue team. You know, yes, the Sylas is still 5-3, but he's got 49 farm. So he isn't farming, he's just killing. Like, I'm telling you, man, I love doing these episodes because if I didn't tell you the rating that we're watching, I guarantee people would think this is a Salty Teemo game. And again, if you don't know what Salty Teemo is, I'm not affiliated with them. I'd like to promote it. It's a stream. Twitch.tv/Salty Teemo. All it does is show Iron 4 games of League. And, like, genuinely, if you watch that stream, you will then 100% within probably a few games of watching that stream go, yeah, nobody is stuck down in Iron 4 who doesn't belong in Iron 4. Like, a Iron 1, you know, silver, bronze player is vastly better than an Iron 4 player, and they would carry the living hell out of those games easily. Iron 4 is different. And these games sometimes remind me of those Salty Teemo games because they're just hectic. Like, there's no strategy to them. It's just, I've died. Okay, run. I'm the mid laner, but I'm going to go straight to bot lane to try and go and get a kill. What the hell is farm? I don't know what a farm is. It's weird because this is, again, a Grandmaster MMR game. Or not even MMR. This is a Grandmaster game. Ashe Arrow comes out. So look at the healing. That's so dumb. Like, he just got half health by Anivia and then went back to full health straight away. Good stun by the Zillion there. And yes, Shyvana in that whole like area was dragging it up. Anivia has to be careful. I was about to say she has to be careful. The hitbox of Anivia E in dragon form is a little bit dodgy, I will say. And this is, I do play Anivia, Shyvana, sorry. I do play it occasionally. And yeah, it's a bit dodgy. It's a bit bigger than it actually leads you to believe. And it has a bit of an AoE, and then obviously with the jungle item, you also get the Luden's kind of bounce. Enemy team is on the back foot though. Lee Sin landing a nice Q. Sylas looking for the Zillion ultimate. Doesn't get it off though quick enough. Now Shyvana is in trouble. Lee Sin pick himself up a double kill. Sylas now ulting himself, or don't know. Oh no, there's a Shed ultimate coming through. And Anivia on the back foot. Can she get a wall? No, she walled over here. Never mind. She's in egg form. She should be fine. Double bomb happening. Aphelios going to try and pick up the kill with the Zillion. Not enough damage because again, he's really tanky for some reason. And Anivia does survive. The Shen doesn't look like he's probably going to go down though. Anivia returning to farm. The Sylas will go down eventually to the Aatrox, who's having a pretty good game. Rift Arrow being used in mid lane. All those juicy plates are probably about to fall. Shen might be able to hold the tower though. It's probably going to survive with maybe one tower plate left. Ashe Arrow comes through into the Shen Taunt. Not enough does the Shen Taunt have, because if you actually notice the build, Anivia, yes, she has Mercury Treads, and meanwhile, lovely use of her ultimate there. She had the patience to keep her ultimate in place to make sure she was blocking the escape path of the Shen. That did no damage. So yeah, very nice play. That is what you're seeing there is a, you know, a good Anivia player who is like used to playing Anivia. In essence, is like, oh, I can keep my ultimate up here because it's just stopping the Shen moving freely instead of cancelling it to get a better reposition. Sometimes holding it in place is better than repositioning it slightly to get a even better position. Just, you know, you as an Anivia, what I've always found is new Anivia players put their ultimate down and they are like doing everything about their ult. A experienced Anivia player, meanwhile Sylas again only fighting. An experienced Anivia player, wow, will use their ultimate. Anivia gets the thrash, by the way. An experienced Anivia will basically put their ultimate down in an okay position, but then they'll move around their ultimate instead of cancelling it and then repositioning it again. Sylas re-engaging. Anivia has to flash, and that will be that. Lee Sin engaging on very little health. Anivia ultimate by the Sylas being used. Anivia might get the kill, though. She will get the kill, which is maybe not, well, it's kind of worth and kind of not at the same time, because the Sylas actually got 700 gold for that kill because the Lee Sin was on a bounty. So it's questionable if that was even worth it. Anivia, though, does have her core. And what you do have to know, obviously, the Anivia's build is incredibly defensive. She's against a Sylas who got fed in the early game. He's obviously going to be always a massive danger to getting one shot and being chased down, etc. So she has to be careful. And she's gone her two core components. So she's got a tier that she's stacking. She's got a catalyst that she'll be building into a rod. But she's got Mercury Treads. Now, this is something that a lot of people underestimate, and it's the exact same thing of the AD carries going exhaust. Sometimes survivability is more important than doing damage, because you can't do any damage if you're dead. That's the point. So if you're doing a little bit less damage because you're not running Sork Boots, you're running Merc Treads instead, well, if you survive, then at least you're doing some form of damage. And that is something that a lot of people, I think, need to kind of get into their minds. You know, we've seen, you know, let's be honest, throughout weeks of content, we've had AD carries that like literally have just run in and killed one person and then raged at the team going, dude, protect me. It's like, well, you're running into the enemy team. Like, yeah, great, you killed one person, but if you maybe be a bit more defensive, stay back, let us protect you, maybe you would have killed 3. Just not like you don't do the initial damage, sure, but you have to be a bit more strategic about it. And a lot of people don't play incredibly strategic in solo queue. It has to be said. Sylas does roam, by the way, to top side and does get the kill on the Aatrox. Meanwhile, big fights happening in the enemy team jungle. Shyvana does go down. Aphelios ultimate comes through. Anivia does teleport, by the way, picks up the Ashe. Lee Sin is now on the into the enemy team. Tanks the Aphelios ultimate, does the Anivia and the Aphelios. Sorry, the Aphelios ultimate, they tank it. And Lee Sin will manage to survive. Triple kill for the Aphelios. And that was a nice teleport play. Now, some people may be like, is teleport the thing for Anivia? Honestly, I think so. Like, there are some champions that they take teleport, and it's questionable that they take teleport. Like, maybe they could do better things. Like, you know, if you're playing Victor, a lot of Victors run teleport. I mean, Victor is pretty good at snowballing if you do run Ignite on him in a lot of matchups, or even some matchups would require more defensive stuff like Barrier or Heal or even Exhaust. But a lot of people just go to that teleport all the time. And the reason why, you know, teleport's a great summon spell. There's no denying it. You know, like there, that Ashe died because Anivia had teleport. If Anivia didn't, that Ashe would have lived. So I can kind of see why a lot of people do it. But Anivia especially, I honestly think a teleport is the thing to do. Because we've spoken before, the other summoners about survivability and even kills. I don't know what's happening there, a bit of a dance. But obviously Anivia, you can run Ignite on Anivia, and some Anivias do, but you have to be very confident to know your early power spikes and to maximize your early power spikes that Anivia does have. But if you're against something like a Sylas, Ignite is probably not the best idea because it's hard to snowball against a Sylas. A defensive summoner on Anivia is also kind of not needed because she has her passive. Like, if you're going to die on Anivia and you've blown your passive, well, Exhaust is probably not going to save you anyway. So Teleport gives you kind of the, you know, utility to go back whenever you want. She's obviously a champion that stacks items, so getting those as quick as possible, kind of like a Rise, is always a good idea. And then having the utility that I can side lane. Anivia is one of the best champions in the game for delaying a game. Like, legitimately, if, let's say, the enemy has a really fed top laner, they've got a Tryndamere that is insanely fed, Anivia is one of the best champions in the game to stop a Tryndamere split push. One of the best, because it's hard to dive her, because she just puts her ultimate down, the minion wave is dead in seconds. Against a champion like a Tryndamere, she can just stun him pretty easily because he's right next to her. It's a pretty easy Q to land. She's got a wall to stop a melee champion from getting her. Look at the damage on the Shen, by the way. And, like, her ultimate obviously is amazing for that. Ooh, she cancelled her Q, but the Shen is probably still dead here, by the way. So that's a really, really solid kill for the Anivia. And the Shen, I would say, has been a little bit greedy with his build. He is going the standard Titanic Rush. Obviously, yes, has bought the Bramble Vest for trying to counter the Aatrox healing early, but is going the Titanic. I think that's questionable for this specific game. Why? Because the Shen has not done great in the 1v1. Let's be honest. Like, the Shyvana went top lane quite a bit in the early game to help, but it never stopped the Aatrox being ahead. The Aatrox is 30 farm ahead, plus has killed the Shen several times in 1v1s, is doing better in global pressure. So if I was a Shen, I would probably have admitted, maybe by the Tiamat, but like, alright, I need to just build tanky to survive. If he was a bit tankier there, maybe he wouldn't have died to Anivia, because the idea of the Titanic build is you actually have to play quite aggressive on Shen to make it work. It does a lot of damage. It's underestimated how much damage it deals, but you have to be aggressive. Meanwhile, the Anivia is being left alone, by the way, because there's a big fight happening in bot side. There's 4 people here, 1 person's dead, so no one is stopping the Anivia, which is a bit weird. So the Anivia might break open the base. Meanwhile, the fight is continuing and the Thresh actually gets caught or die. The Ashe is also half health, nearly actually dead herself. And again, no one is stopping the Sylas. I will say, the one thing with this Sylas, the champion is busted, but the playstyle of this player is really weird. He's less than 100 farm at 20 minutes. And it literally looks like he only cares about fighting. This is what we said about earlier. It feels like a salty Teemo game because why is no one stopping the Anivia? You can literally see on the minimap right now, that is red team pinging ? That is her own team is probably like, why are they letting this happen? No idea. Anivia has busted the base by herself. And yes, the enemy team, great, they killed the Aphelios. Amazing. Well, your base is broken. You're still chasing kills. And Anivia is getting the inhib. What is going on? So they get the Lee Sin. Silas, by the way, yeah, he's continuing. He's not stopping. And Anivia gets the inhibitor. My mind is blown. I have no idea. Anivia getting a nice clean kill there. Lovely to see. And she is now dominating. So this does also show Anivia is a scaling champion. She's not this hyper-aggressive early game champion. She can, by the way, again, good Anivias who are running Ignite, they can kill stuff early. People underestimate her QE Ignite combo a lot. Obviously, this one hasn't done that. But she is a great scaling champion. She's naturally going to be a great scaling champion when you look at her item build. She is literally running Tyr and Seros. Those are the two incredibly good scaling in time items for mages. Once again there you saw, I hope, the use of Mercury Treads. That, oh, the Ash stun didn't last very long. Yep, that's Mercury Treads. Yes, again, the Silas going all in, looking for that fight. That's literally all this player is doing. Which is weird, but obviously, yeah, it's got 10 kills. And Anivia ultimate is still down, by the way. Enemy team kind of ignoring it. Or that actually might have been the Silas's one, but she does pick up the kill. Silas looking aggressive. Shen misses his taunt. Now Shen is probably going to be dead, actually, if she gets a good wall off to block him in. She does. The fellow's helping out. Does get the kill on the Shen. The Aatrox goes a little bit too aggressive. Does get himself killed. Shyvana on the back foot. And yes, by the way, that is AP Shyvana. And worth noting, that is practically the only way you can play Shyvana nowadays. I personally wish, they haven't announced it yet of the rework list. Obviously, last year it was Fiddlesticks and Volibear. The Fiddlesticks one came out, the player vote. That one's out. It's okay, but it's pretty weak. Volibear is coming very soon. They haven't announced. Meanwhile, once again, she gets stunned, but the Mercury Treads arguably saved her life there. They haven't announced the new vote list. I honestly hope that, well, I've got champions that are maybe a higher priority than Shyvana, but I do hope Shyvana gets a rework in just making her, I know that some people might disagree, just make her like a proper mage at this point. Like, I don't know, like, I think it's a cooler playstyle than the AD version. The AD version's a little bit boring compared to the AP. Like, the big dragon fireball, I think is really cool. Meanwhile, Shen getting a little bit caught. Anivia damage has now shown up, by the way, into the mid to late game. They are looking to end the game. And yeah, what a weird game. It's about scaling, it's about doing damage, keeping calm. Yes, the Anivia at this one point in this game was 0-3, but she's now finishing the game, or if the game does finish it, she's finishing 7-3 or whatever. Oh, does she get out? Wow, good Zilean play actually to save the Anivia there. Zilean himself dies, but the Anivia will break open the base. Silas going aggressive again. There's the thingy. Look how many minions, and we've mentioned before, what did the Anivia do? If you're getting anything from this video, she didn't cancel her ultimate. Oh god, Silas not in my ultimate. Let me cancel my ultimate and then put it back up. Again, remember, there is a cooldown of about 3 seconds from when you cancel an Anivia ultimate to when you can cast it again. She didn't cancel it. She just walked back over it. She repositioned herself to her ultimate to make Silas go back on her ultimate. That's really good Anivia play. It's a basic Anivia play, but it's an Anivia play that so many players do not do. They cancel their ultimate and then get killed because then their ultimate's on cooldown. Worth noting, yes, the Silas has bought a Medjai's this game. He has 0 stacks on it right now. I'm very confused. Item build for Anivia, by the way. Yes, she has bought a Nashor's Tooth. I've seen this pop up occasionally. I don't think it's a real thing. Like, let me look through the match history of this player. Do they buy it often? Because I doubt they do. I've seen it very occasionally. So they bought it in this game. I think maybe they're just going into a bit of trolling, potentially. So yeah, I don't think it's like a thing that they actually do. Maybe they're doing it this game just to kind of mess around a bit. I don't really know. Because, yeah, even more attack speed. Not really sure what that's about. Again, you never know if there's some beef between players. You never know if the Anivia and the Silas have got issues with each other, and then she can kind of flame him, kind of going, dude, I beat you going attack speed Anivia, you suck. You never know. Like, that's the thing with high rating. These players play against each other all the time. They all know each other, so you don't know. But yeah, don't buy Nashor's Tooth on Anivia, everybody. I can safely say that isn't... Well, again, I've seen it happen, but it's not a thing, if you know what I mean. If you were actually wondering what build should she go, I mean, Liandry's Torment is never a bad thing. Deathcap arguably is probably the best thing that she could have gone. But she's ended up going Nashor's and attack speed. Oh, actually, maybe she's done it because she's been split pushing. Maybe that has been why this is Anivia. Remember that she legitimately got the inhibitor by herself in top side. Nice one shot on the Ashe there. Legendary now is. Maybe that's why. So... Split pushing Anivia builds attack speed. Who knows? But there is the game. Kind of weird. But it was worth noting. So many people give up in the early game. Dude, I'm 0-3. This game sucks. This Anivia was 0-3. She ended the game 9-3. She literally didn't die after her third death, and then became legendary. So that does show, don't give up, keep playing, keep your head up. But it's also a testament that if you were playing an early game champion and you were 0-3, well then your point of your game is gone. Anivia isn't an early game champion. She's a scaling champion. So mentally, when you're playing a mid to late game champion, you're kind of like, okay, my early game's kind of gone bad, but that's not what my champion's strength is. My champion's strength is mid to late game. So that is why I do recommend staying away from early game champions if you are especially someone that tilts easily. Because if you get behind in the early game, if you're playing Viger, you're like, well, I'm behind in the early game. I should be behind in the early game. I'm Viger. I'm going to scale like crazy. And you can kind of keep your positive attitude by doing that. But that is going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, throw a like on the video, throw a subscribe, let me know what champions you want to see down below. Again, hopefully you don't mind me doing these. I do enjoy doing them. And if the plan works, next episode might be kind of interesting. But I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.